Just wanted to acknowledge the passing of Dale Hoganson, who was such an important member of our community here, UMD Athletics, and of course, men's and women's hockey. To me, Dale Hoagie exemplified everything that is important about being a UMD Bulldog. I mean, every single day he came to the rink with a smile on his face with so much passion and energy. He was so uplifting and caring. I know he cared so deeply about all of us. And we're all heartbroken right now, and I just, condolences go out to his family. And he will always be a special part of UMD women's hockey in our community here.
Shu, do you remember the first day that you met Hoagie?
I don't, but I just remember him coming into my office every single day, every single day with a smile on his face. And, of course, everybody knows he did the starting lineups for him. And that was a big part of our daily meeting, was preparing the lineups for him so that, he could deliver it with a bang for our program. And so many good memories of him. But whether it was him giving you knuckles before a game for good luck, or him shaking your hand after a victory or high-fiving you after a goal, he was always there. And just such a loving, genuine person. And he made our team better. I mean, he gave us energy every single day. He let the girls know it if we weren't playing well, and he also let us know it when we were rocking it. Such a valued member of our team, and everyone just loved him. And like I said, he will always be a cherished member of our program.
What was it like watching the relationships he had with the players grow and evolve as new players would come in, and he just kept finding new best friends and stuff like that every season.
He did, and immediately, he was constantly going out to eat with our student athletes, and whoever was lucky enough to be able to bring them out, that night to Texas Roadhouse or wherever it might have been. And people would just gravitate to him. I think just because of the energy that he brought each and every day. Like, he was so genuinely such a happy-go-lucky person, and that kind of energy, it's just infectious, and you want to be around him. And it's like, I kind of remember, like, the sitcom Cheers, when Norm would walk into a building and it's like, Norm, everybody kind of stopped to always acknowledge it. And that was the same with Hoagie. As soon as Hoagie would walk down the hallway, all of our girls are like, Hoagie, everyone loved him so much. He was just so good at connecting, and really taught us the importance of how valuable connection is and how powerful that can be.
Shu, maybe an underrated aspect of Hoagie, his competitive nature. What do you remember about seeing that over your time at UMD? Because I can tell you the chap hated to lose.
Yes. I think that's one of the reasons why, we wanted him to come on the road as much as possible with us, to have his spirit with us, the whole time. Like I said, he was always so good at getting the girls pumped before games, with our starting lineups. And if we weren't playing well, he'd come in and he'd let them know, and I think our girls really looked up to who he was as a person, and, someone that just had so much pride and passion. And it was like always a constant reminder of you know, just why you wore the jersey. So anytime we had the opportunity to bring him on the road with us, you know, we would. And you know, like I said, it's like sometimes when you score, you know, sometimes you don't always celebrate, but no matter what, he would celebrate. I think that was his true nature and how competitive he was, and it was a constant reminder of, you know, how important it is to always celebrate, you know, the little things, no matter what it is in life. And so he was just such an incredible person, and I think not only did he make our team better every single day, but he's a constant reminder of just the importance of being a good person. You know, he made us better people every day as well. And I was always up to date on scores. You know, Hoagie knew exactly who was playing when and where, whether it was like minor leagues, I don't know, junior hockey, professional hockey, like, you know, baseball, whatever it was, soccer. He kept us up to date with every single score. And he was like, you know, what do you mean you don't know if someone was playing? Like, what do you mean you don't know they scored 3 goals last night? You know? So, but thank goodness, because I'm not so active on social media, but he definitely kept me, you know, up to date on everything relevant. And I'll definitely miss that for sure.
Shoo, I'm not a big Wild fan either, but didn't you feel like you had to keep track of the team because you knew Hoagie was going to ask you about the game the next day?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think he was pretty excited about getting the Quinn Hughes to you know, Minnesota, and I think I probably found out from Dale about that as well. So came in high-fiving everybody. So that's just, you know, the kind of guy that he was. And my goodness, like, you know, when you think of him, you can't help but smiling just because of what a good person he was, and again, just how much he cared about every single person, and he valued everybody so much. Like not one person was more important than the other, you know. And he made us all feel that way, and it was such a sense of pride of knowing that, you know, he was a part of our staff, and you know, somebody that you could always look to. Maybe when sometimes you're going through some highs or lows, but he was always that steady person, you know, to make sure and to remind you about just how privileged, you know, you are to be a part of this community and this athletic department and a part of the hockey world.
I mentioned this with MK when I think back in January when I talked to her. I noticed over the years that he was starting to travel with you guys maybe a little bit more. And I asked her, was this maybe a source of pride for you guys that you're getting Hoagie more on the road with you than maybe you had before? What did you think of that? It did feel like as the years went on here, he traveled more and more with you guys.
Yeah, and we'd always give him, you know, crap if there was a double header if the men were away, and if he was going to go with them, we'd be like, what the heck, Holmes? Come on. You got to, you know, we got to be the priority here. Let's go, you know. But I do think he really enjoyed being around our players, and our players just cared so much about him. Like I said, like they included him in team events, team activities. He was a member of our, you know, hockey team. And so yeah, anytime we did have that opportunity to be able to bring him, you know, it was never a question. We always wanted him there. We wanted his energy, his passion, and his spirit.
I'm going to ask, what do you think his thoughts on are the upcoming series? Because if I remember right, he wasn't much of a Gophers fan. So what do you think he'd be telling you guys ahead of this big weekend?
Yeah. Well, Well, I think I think of Hoagie in our starting lineups, and how he'd always have some kind of a one liner at the very end, um, and like whether it was like smash those Gophers or he always had something special for every opponent that we played. But um, they are one of our rivals, and I think he knows that both teams hate playing each other, and um, he shared that passion with us. We're not Gopher fans. Dogs eat Gophers, that sort of a thing. And Hoagie was right there in it with us. And that I think that was one of the greatest things about Hoagie too, is that he understood all of the rivalry, between schools, and how important those games were. And I know right now he would be like, running up and down the hallways, just getting our girls pumped and ready to go. And this was one trip that he was intending on coming with us. So this is going to make this heartfelt for sure. But at the same time, I think that his, like I said, his spirit's going to live on with us. His legacy is going to live on with us, and we're going to be taking him with us. And he'll always have a special place in our hearts, and we're going to draw energy from that.
Anybody else for Shu?
I'll throw one more out there about the series. Stu, this Gopher team, how different is it without Abby Murphy?
Yeah, I mean, they're still electric. They still have such quality, good players, and I thought we played them really close the last time we played them with Abby Murphy, and you know, so I think this time around, it's going to be that same back and forth game. I'm excited to play them. I like how our team has been playing, and a big focus for us has been like our battle mentality and our consistency from period to period. And I feel like we're a better team today than we were even towards the beginning of the season when we first played them. So I'm really excited about the product that we're going to be putting on the ice this weekend as we go forward, and especially knowing that we have Hoagie in our hearts, and perhaps like be able to draw a little more energy to take care of business this weekend from him.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say that we're deeply saddened hearing the news of Hoagie this morning. He's meant everything to our program, not just women's hockey, but men's hockey and Bulldog athletics as a whole. I like to call him the heart and soul of Bulldog country. And if anything else, it gives us just motivation to play for him the rest of the way. He's meant everything to us, and there's been a huge hole in the heart of our program without him being at the rink every day. So the news is truly devastating. So yeah, we love Hoagie. We're gonna miss him very, very much. Um, but it just gives us extra motivation to play for him.
MK, do you remember the first time you met Hoagie when you got to UMD?
Yeah, I do actually. So it was my freshman year, and myself, Jenna Lowry, and one other of our teammates went over to one of the men's houses to take an exam for our business class. And Hoagie had come over to their house, and he had tater tot hot dish with him. And so it was very hard to try and take that exam with Hoagie in the background. But I learned really quickly how he could light up a room, and just how much he meant to everybody. Just like because there were some older men's players at the house, and they had seemed very close with him, and obviously Hoagie was quite comfortable with them. And so that was my first time meeting him, and gosh, it was so funny. He made such a great first impression. Like he was just so boisterous, and So yeah, that was my first time. Not a great person to try to take an exam around, but a wonderful person to have around in every other situation.
Can you describe, over time the bond that players at UMD build with Hoagie and the bond he built with you guys?
Yeah, I think I mean, one theme for our team this year is like we've talked about consistency a lot, and like I think the epitome of consistency is Hoagie. Like he would show up every single day. You get the same passionate, energetic Dale, always cracking jokes and putting a smile on your face, coming into the gym and getting on the bike, whatever it was. And I just think like he was just the epitome and definition of consistency and passion. But like with that was also, like you said, like building the bond with the players around him and just spreading the love with everybody around him. And me personally, like I built a great relationship with him at the rink and away from the rink. We would take him out to dinner, go to Texas Roadhouse, and just like putting in the time to make sure that everybody gets time with Hoagie. And I would do the special hockey on Sundays this year, so like bringing him to hockey practice and just getting to know him beyond what he does for us and the men's team at the rink. But you know, um, yeah, so like words can't even describe how important he is to our community. But to be able to build like a personal relationship and a friendship with him is something I'm so grateful for, and so I really cherish that.
MK, I brought this up with Shu. How competitive was he? I've seen him after losses almost inconsolable at times, depending on the stakes at hand, but especially at the end of seasons in the NCAA's with our with the guys. What do you remember about the competitive side of Hoagie and how much he hated watching you guys maybe come up short on the ice?
Yeah, he's one of the most competitive people I know. And like you would think that he'd be out there with us, how much he got into it. He just brought such a fire, and like I said, he was so passionate and so committed to our program that he wanted it for us so bad, more so than any of us want it. And it, like I said, like it gives us an extra motivation, an extra drive to want to go out there and get it done for him. With that also, like at special hockey, like that he's out there like for his games and stuff. He wants to win. He wants the puck on his stick. So that translates like to other areas too. Like when the Wild lose, he's pissed about that. So he he stands 10 toes down for his teams, for his people, for us, and he is beyond competitive and so committed to that.
Uh, Looking ahead to the series, I know Hoagie did not like the Gophers as much. Is it kind of like healing knowing that like this is the series on the horizon and he doesn't like him, so it's fresh on your mind and it's almost healing to get back to hockey, given the circumstances today.
Yeah, like I said, it's just extra motivation to get the job done for him. And we don't like the Gophers. He didn't like the Gophers. So I think it's the extra fire that we need to really go. We are going into their rink. So the goal is to get the job done for him. That's what he would have wanted above anything else. So that's definitely on the forefront of our minds.
Speaking of Hoagie and hating the Gophers, like we got a bunch of photos at the D&T, and it's still one of those like memories in my mind from Ritter when MK, I think you were I don't think you were on the ice. I think you were injured that year when you guys beat the Gophers at Ritter in the NCAA tournament. I don't think there was anyone more excited about that win than Hoagie, and we got the photos at the DNT to prove it because they're all him jumping all over the ice. Like, what do you remember about Hoagie in that moment, and just that run, him accompanying you guys on that run in the national championship game?
Yeah, like I remember vividly like seeing how excited he was. And Yeah, like I was injured that game and I remember being up in the press box and after we won like sprinting downstairs, I was like, I don't think I'm cleared to run yet, but I'm all fired up. But yeah, like being able to see that like bird's eye view and then to get on the ice with everybody, like like we talked about, like he was so passionate and so competitive, like that it's hard to even describe. Like he just filled us with so much energy and so much happiness and pure joy. And to have him with us like during that run, it was like so crucial and so important. And just having him with us is just like that extra little like motivation in our hearts to go out there and play and to have fun and to try and get the job done and try to do the right thing for him, put on a good game for him, something that he'd be proud of. So yeah, just pure excitement and joy. I remember coming out of him, just passion.